In this lesson, I'm going to explain to you when to use a semicolon. Some people are very confused about this and they are actually afraid of this piece of punctuation. A semicolon is an interesting little piece and it looks like this. It's a period right on top of a comma. All right? Now, I need to explain a couple of things first. Semicolons are most often used between two independent clauses. Okay, now you might be saying, oh no, what's an independent clause? No problem. An independent clause has a subject and verb and it can stand alone. It totally makes sense. All right? Now, you might say, well, that's just like a period. It is as strong as a period. It's a very strong piece of punctuation. But you can't just use a period sometimes and a semicolon other times. They're not interchangeable. You use it only if the two independent clauses go very closely together in ideas. All right, and I'll give you some examples. Look at these two sentences, or I'm sorry, two independent clauses. She did not want to play tennis. She wanted to run track. Notice how close these two clauses are in terms of what they're talking about. She didn't want this one sport, she did want this other sport. This is a perfect example of one that, yes, in terms of grammar, you could put a period after tennis and capitalize the she of she wanted. But it just makes more sense to use a semicolon though, there. And one thing you should always do is then test to see if if each side can stand alone. And I could say she did not want to play tennis. That can stand alone. She wanted to run track. That can stand alone. And so structurally, I'm fine to use a semicolon because each side of the semicolon has independent clauses. Now, let's say I said, she wanted to have lunch Monica came home from school. Well, each side can stand alone. She wanted to have lunch. Okay, Monica came home from school. Okay? But they have nothing to do with each other. And therefore, there's no way a semicolon is appropriate here. This is just two separate sentences. Let me try another. All right. Although she was my sister, and she did not live at home. All right? Well, I'm talking about the same person, and usually sisters live at home. So it's like, oh, well, okay, maybe this is a good place to use a semicolon. Now we have to do our check. Can we say she did not live at home? Yes, that's fine. Can we say, although she was my sister? And it's like, although she was my sister, what? That just leaves you hanging. It may have a subject and a verb, and it does. She, subject, was, verb, but it's not an independent clause because it cannot stand alone. So in this particular case, it starts the sentence, and I can put a comma here, but I certainly cannot put a semicolon. These next ones are, you just kind of have to learn to recognize the type of situation that calls for this use of the semicolon. I might say, I'll just change, I'll say, he was my brother. However, he did not live at home. It's beginning to sound as though nobody lives at home. However, notice we have, he was my brother. Well, that can stand alone. He did not live at home. That can stand alone. Now we have that however in there. But if we left it just like this, we would have a type of run-on, and we don't want that. So when you have a situation like this, you put a semicolon at the end of the first independent clause, then you have this link here, and then you put a comma after it. And these are called, you don't really need to know these, but just so you know, conjunctive adverbs. All right? And you learn to spot them. You still have to do that check to make sure that what is on either side of the conjunctive adverb can stand alone. Let me show you one that doesn't. Okay? I hate, however, that I have to leave. If you go, oh, there's a however, I think it's a conjunctive adverb. Well, let's see if the information on each side can stand alone. I hate. That is structurally an independent clause. That could stand alone. I don't know very much information, but it would kind of work. But look at the last part. That I have to leave, that makes no sense all by itself. Therefore, this is not a conjunctive adverb here. I cannot use a semicolon. Another one would be he ran in the election. Nevertheless, he did not win. And you might go, oh, I think I better have a comma there. Okay, but look, we have another conjunctive adverb. I could say he ran in the election, he did not win. Each side of the conjunctive adverb, I have an independent clause. So what I actually want here is a semicolon at the end of the first independent clause and a comma after the conjunctive adverb. And those are the two most common uses of the semicolon. There are a couple of others, but these are the ones that you will run into most frequently. Now you should go to easygrammar.net and do some exercises using the semicolon. Good luck.